What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on FantasyPros with a 12-team full PPR mock where we will be drafting 12th overall. The final pick should be pretty interesting. Our roster, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and then 5 bench spots. But that's pretty much it. So let's kick this thing off. And while we wait, a quick reminder, if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section, do you agree, disagree, your other questions you might have. We will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, we're kicking this thing off, and let's quickly look at the draft board so we can get a sense of what has taken place so far. Now, the first 2 picks, they are as follows. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. That's kind of been the trend lately. We'll see if Jamar Chase's value drops with potential worries about, Joe Burrow's calf strain, things like that. But to me, he's still going to remain a first-round pick in all likelihood, especially with, the obsession people have had with wide receivers early in the first round this year. Then you see Christian McCaffrey followed by Cooper Kupp. Kupp, another big-name wide receiver that it's not his quarterback that's dealing with the potential injury. It's him and a hammy, but the expectation is he's going to be back for the start of the season. So we'll see if there's a little bit of a drop in ADP. Right now, not too much. Then Austin Eckler. Then we see Tyreek Hill, followed by Travis Kelce. And now the top running backs that hadn't been selected go when Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson. Then Stephon Diggs makes his way in there, and Jonathan Taylor. Right now, personally, Jonathan Taylor is kind of on my unfortunately do not draft list given his circumstance. I ultimately think that it'll get resolved. I just don't think it makes financial sense to not play on his end. And the Colts, if they really don't trade him, then he's going to be playing unless there's some type of injury there, but we'll see. Either way, though, it's our turn to make a selection. And here, I'm looking at a couple of players. I'm looking at CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams. Those are my top 2 wide receivers at this point in time. And then also Nick Chubb. So right now, I do want to get at least 1 running back. I want to get 1 bell cow running back and 1 top 10 wide receiver. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go with Nick Chubb as one of my picks. And then I'm going to give a slight edge to Devontae Adams over CeeDee Lamb. I think it's splitting hairs. Either way you do it, I like both of them. I think the volume is going to be a little bit larger for Devontae Adams. CeeDee Lamb does have the better quarterback, but as long as there's health there with Jimmy Garoppolo, I think Devontae Adams will be a solid pick. I'm not reading too much into the potential, trade rumors of Devontae Adams, but we'll see. So we get Nick Chubb with our first selection, and then we're going to go with Devontae Adams with our second. And now this is where it's really going to get interesting, right? Because with the final pick or with the first pick overall, you have to let the draft just come to you. You have to be ready to reach on some players. You have to realize that you're not going to get as much value as somebody that's picking in the middle of the draft. So it's definitely a little bit of a tougher position to navigate. And hopefully we're going to do a good job of it here, right? Now, after our Devontae Adams selections, we had Derrick Henry, Ramondre Stevenson. I don't like Derrick Henry this early on. I draft Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard ahead of him. Speaking of Josh Jacobs here, potentially the reason why he's dropping with his own franchise tag issue. We'll see again what happens there. But either way, the running backs are not happy this offseason. We'll see how many of them actually step up and, put their money where their mouth is. CeeDee Lamb afterwards, then A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Patrick Mahomes in the middle of the second round. I absolutely hate that. I continue to call it out as, in my opinion, what is a bad pick. But, hey, that's just my 2 cents on it. Tony Pollard, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, Josh Jacobs. Then again, the top quarterbacks going, Josh Allen with the first pick in the third, then Travis Etienne, Chris Olave, Devonta Smith. I was really hoping Olave would fall to me. It doesn't happen. Mark Andrews, Najee Harris, DK Metcalf. A little bit too early for DK Metcalf, in my opinion. Then Jalen Hurts, Breece Hall, Keenan Allen, and Joe Mixon. I point this out all the time. if you're going to spend a second round pick on Patrick Mahomes, or if you're just hell bent on spending an early round pick on a quarterback, why do it? Why just never be the first one to select one of the tier one quarterbacks? I feel like that has to be the main thing there, because there's at least going to be one of them, whether it's Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, that goes almost a full round after the first guy, in this case, Patrick Mahomes. That's exactly what happened here with Jalen Hurts, and I don't think the drop-off is going to be that large. Then Breece Hall, Keenan Allen, Joe Mixon. Again, would have loved Keenan Allen. Doesn't happen. So let's look at our cheat sheet at this point in time. If we are going running back, we're looking at guys like Aaron Jones, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kenneth Walker, and Miles Sanders. Then wide receivers, Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper. I've already got Nick Chubb, so I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm prioritizing Calvin Ridley ahead of him. And sure, I think that it's a little bit early ADP-wise, but again, when you're picking at the end of the draft, you're going to have to make some concessions. So that's what we're doing here. We go Calvin Ridley with our first pick. I'm not really going tight end right now. I'm going to go with a running back. And the guys that I'm looking at, Aaron Jones, look, I like the talent, but he's got A.J. Dillon playing behind him. He doesn't have Aaron Rodgers anymore. All those things worry me. So I'm going to go with the guy that I've continued to really, really like. That is Miles Sanders. So let's keep this thing going. Just to show you guys our roster, Nick Chubb, it's going to be Miles Sanders, then Devontae Adams, Calvin Ridley, all guys that I basically really, really like. And the question is, again, once there's about 20 picks here that go, what is going to be left available for us? And is it going to be good value? So again, looking at the draft board, Amari Cooper, Aaron Jones, Jahmyr Gibbs, so basically the next highest ranked guys, Debo, Brandon Ayuk, Lamar, Kenneth Walker, Chris Godwin, J.K. Dobbins, Pittman, T.J. Hawkinson. Decent value on T.J. Hawkinson if you get him at the end of the fourth. Dameon Pierce, DeAndre Swift, Drake London, Joe Burrow, Hopkins, Jerry Jeudy, Cam Akers, Kittle, Justin Fields, Marquise, and DJ Moore. One of the few times I've seen Marquise Brown go ahead of DJ Moore, which is actually how I have it in my rankings. So happy to see that. I think DeAndre Hopkins is getting drafted way, way too early. Joe Burrow probably should drop an ADP considering his calf injury. But, those are kind of the main takeaways from this round of selections. Now looking at our list, I'm looking at these guys, and James Conner is somebody that I think is a good value. I also think Alvin Kamara, though, is a pretty solid value. The news just came out. He's only going to be suspended 3 games. So that's probably the best case scenario. And if you can continue to get him at a discount, I think that's tremendous. So, if this was the real deal, I'd probably snag him right here. The only reason I will not at this point in time is I'm just curious where he's going to be drafted in this mock draft if it's not me that's, making that selection. So instead, we're going to go with James Conner as one of our picks, and then probably addressing the tight end position, because again, if we don't, it's going to bite us afterwards. So let's go with James Conner to begin with. And we've got our flex running back, so that's taken care of. Now, tight end, I mentioned it. I'm looking at Darren Waller, Dallas Goedert, Kyle Pitts. Out of all these guys, I think Kyle Pitts has the highest upside. Darren Waller's ADP has kind of gone up and up as of late. He was somebody that, you could kind of get after a Pitts, after a Goddard. I think it's been because of camp news that he's had great chemistry with Daniel Jones, but I just think there's so many pass catchers there. I'm not 100% certain Darren Waller is just all of a sudden going to be the one that stands out. So I probably continue to lean Kyle Pitts here, and I'm going to go that route. So we have that taken care of, and we will miss out on the top tier quarterbacks, but it's one of those situations where you have to, again, be able to make concessions and be okay with that. And when I say the top tier quarterbacks, I meant basically Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence. To me, they were in that next tier of guys. But yes, in fact, they went with the picks pretty much right after us. And to be fair, so did the tight ends, right? Darren Waller went, Dallas Goedert went all in the 6th round. So we were kind of right in whatever decision we made. Then other than that, there's that Alvin Kamara selection at the start of the second round. Tremendous value. I think his ADP is going to definitely go up by probably, you know, several rounds, if I had to be honest with you. So that's something that I'm very interested to see. Other than that, you know, we're back on the clock. We need a quarterback. Deshaun Watson pairing him up with Nick Chubb. I don't mind that. I think Deshaun Watson is, you know, a good value at this point in time. So let's go in that direction. That's going to be our first selection. So let's get that taken care of. There we go. We've added Deshaun Watson. And now we're going to start basically building out our bench, building out best available players. I really like Jordan Addison. I've been an advocate of that. I think he's going to have a pretty decent season opposite Justin Jefferson in that offense in Minnesota that do trust the rookies. So we're going in that direction. And there's some other younger wide receivers that I also still really like. So, you know, we let this draft fall to us. I'm a little bit bummed out. Samaje Perine got drafted. I was hoping he could make his way to us. Doesn't happen. Oh, well. I'm going to continue to load up on pass catchers that I really like. So Quinn Johnston, Elijah Moore, I like the upside for both of them a decent amount. So let's go in that direction here. You know, with Elijah Moore, he's a bench guy for me, but I think he can be the number 2 wide receiver in Cleveland, so that can be valuable. Quinn Johnston, you know, if there's an injury to Mike Williams or Keenan Allen, he's been somebody that, as a rookie so far early on, has been standing out. So I like that value for us. And then we're going to make 2 final selections here. And I'll probably get a backup tight end, something like that, as a, you know, fail-safe. So I'm looking at these guys. I like Greg Dulcich. I like Gerald Everett. So, you know, who do you have more faith in? I'll go with the higher upside. I'll go with Greg Dulcich, even though I think Gerald Everett is, you know, going to be a bit of a safer pick. So let's just go with Greg Dulcich with one of our selections. And then let's see if there's anything intriguing, if you will, at running back. I think the main thing here is maybe getting a handcuff to Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford. The wide receivers, I feel good about the guys that we have. Quarterback, I feel good about Deshaun Watson. You know, we could go with an Aaron Rodgers, something like that, but I'm going to go with our handcuff approach here in Jerome Ford. And then let's see what draft grade we get. I think this was a very balanced draft. I'd be surprised if it's a very low grade, which, wow, D+ grade. We're not getting love from FantasyPros in the last couple of drafts that we've done. So, look, but I'll stand by it. You know, Nick Chubb, top 10 running back. Devontae Adams, top 10 wide receiver. Calvin Ridley, upside of a top 10 wide receiver. I think Miles Sanders, you know, is somebody that is going to absolutely break out this season. Kyle Pitts, again, high upside tight end. We backed him up with a decent tight end as well in Greg Dulcich. I like James Conner as our flex, right? And if something goes bad there, we've got good backups, good high upside flex options in Jordan Addison, Johnston, right? So keep that in mind. I like a Deshaun Watson selection. So, you know, the lowest grade I'd go here is like a C+, but that's just me. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Agree, disagree. Any other questions you guys might have, we'll do our best to answer them all. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe. Give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.